If anybody has any part of their body in particular that might be asking for a little attention, please let me know. If anybody is dealing with maybe a heightened level of stress, some anxiety you're having challenging times managing, if you have a chronic condition that you want to talk about, as always, just let me know and we'll see what we can do. When it's a small group, it's nice because sometimes we can target specific things. I have something in mind, but if all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, my back is killing me, well, then we'll just pivot and do a lot of back work. So again, as always, if there's ever anything specific that you need to address, please, by all means, address it. So we will begin, and we're going to begin today in a seated position. We're going to begin, as soon as I stop talking, to sit in silence for a few moments. And I'm going to ask you to sit in silence for a few moments and ponder a certain word. And the word that I'm asking you to ponder is the word enough. And it is a word that I'm sure you have used quite frequently throughout your life. It's a word that we've been hearing an awful lot about lately, right? I've had enough with wearing this mask. When I've had enough with being inside, or, enough is enough already. So enough can be something that is a word where we use it almost in a negative fashion, right? Like enough is enough, kids, stop, enough is enough, or, I've had enough. But enough can also be a sense of satisfaction. You know what? I have enough stuff. I don't need anything else. I have everything I need. I have enough. So I want you to just think a little bit about the word enough, and maybe even ponder the question, what if this was enough? This right here, this life that you have, this day, this moment, this now, what if this was enough? What sense of freedom would that bring you? So we're going to sit in silence for a few moments, and then we will continue our practice around the concept of enough. But in the meantime, as you sit here, just think a little bit about when you've used the word enough, when you've had enough of something, or what would it be like if you came to a sense of acceptance of this is enough? So if it feels safe and comfortable, close your eyes. Begin to drop into your physical body and begin to notice your inhale and notice your exhale. When your mind begins to wander, which it will, gently bring it back to an anchor of some sort, either listening to sounds, noticing your breath, feeling a physical sensation, and also checking in with where your mind went when it wandered away. Slowly begin to open your eyes, bringing your awareness back into the room. And, I'm not going to put you on the spot and tell you to, turn your camera on and answer my question, but I just would like you to think a little bit about, where you're like, all right, I've had enough of this silence. That was 2 minutes that we were sitting there. So I don't know if you have a private meditation practice or not, or if you hear people talking about the benefits of meditation, when they say something as simple as 10 minutes a day can help you, 2 minutes a day can help you. That was 2 minutes. So if that felt like, well, that's enough, let me stop this, maybe that's something that you begin to work on. So continuing with the concept of enough, and I'm just giving you a little foreshadowing of what's coming, we're going to be holding a lot of poses until you get to a point where you're like, oh, that's enough. So with that said, we're going to begin in Ardha Navasana, half boat pose. So bend your knees, sit up nice and straight, hold on to the back of your thighs, take a nice big breath in, sigh it out through your mouth, relaxing your shoulders, lift up one leg, lift up the other. If you feel steady enough, release one arm, release the other. And just begin to, once again, notice your breath. Does your breath feel compromised in this position? What parts of your body do you feel are working harder than others? If you feel like your shoulders are really involved here, maybe you have to just let them drop down. This is more of a quad core pose than a shoulder pose. But when we're holding something and we start to, perhaps struggle a little bit, our tendency is to have those shoulders come up to our ears, which just makes everything more challenging. So drop those shoulders down. Notice if your feet are starting to drop, can you pick them back up? Can you lift your chest a little higher? Can you stay here for 2 more breaths? Big inhale. Exhale 1. Another big breath in. Exhale 2. Feet to the floor. Hold on to your knees. Lift your chest. Draw those shoulder blades together. Chin rises. Head drops back. And then another nice sip of breath. And as you exhale, tuck your belly. Round your spine. Tuck your chin. Seated cat-cow. Inhale, lift your chest, shoulder blades together, chin up. And exhale, tuck and round. One more time, big breath in, lift your chin, lift your chest, look up. Exhale, tuck and round. And then come to a neutral spine, cross your ankles, lift yourself up and over so that you're on your hands and knees, or do whatever you have to do to land on your hands and knees. Right foot comes out behind you. We're going to start by stretching that calf, toes on the floor, heel presses behind you. Create some length in that calf. And then switching your attention to your right glute, slowly lift that leg up, feel that glute engage. Extend your left arm, look to your left thumb. We're now starting to challenge our balance. Keep your core engaged. Notice if that leg starts dropping, keep it parallel. And imagine, as I often say, that I'm going to put a boiling cup of hot tea on your back. How safe would you feel? How still can you keep yourself? Balance requires a lot of focus, some concentration. And then with control, release your knee, release your hand, sink yourself back into child's pose. Stay here, creeping those fingers out. Another nice big breath in. Exhale, come back to all fours. And then your left foot comes out behind you, press that heel back. And then lift that leg up so that your heel, your glute, your shoulder, all one nice long line, and extend your right arm, look to your right thumb. You feel steadier the second time around on the other side. With control, hand comes down, knee comes down, sink yourself back to child's pose. So holding a pose like we just did often triggers that I've had enough. Sometimes doing some challenging musculature work also triggers I've had enough. So here we go. Lift yourself to all fours. We're doing our chaturanga push-ups. Cross your ankles. Take a big breath in. And just look at me for a moment. Notice as I exhale, I'm not coming down, right? My butt sticks up, my chest comes down. What am I doing? I'm coming forward, right? So that my chest is coming toward my thumbs. Then I'm bending my elbows, and I'm going to stay here, as are you. Couple of really big breaths to get you through this. One more big breath in. As you exhale, lift yourself up, sink your hips back to your heels, creep your fingers out so you can stretch your triceps that were just working pretty hard to support you. So again, did you have enough? And what part of your body was saying, enough is enough, let's get out of this pose? If you did not hold that pose with that sense of curiosity, I'll give you the opportunity to do it once again. So take a nice breath in, lift yourself up. As you exhale, you shift forward, lower yourself down. Your arms are so close to your body, it's like you're squeezing your boobs together. And we're going to stay here for a little while. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, sink yourself back to child's pose. Excellent. I can't see if you held it the whole time, but I have so much faith in you that I'm assuming that you all did. Creep those fingers out, stretch those triceps that were so contracted as they supported you. And then come back to all fours, uncross your feet, curl your toes, lift your hips, relax your head. You're in down dog. Pedal your feet out a little bit. And then come up nice and high on your tippy toes. Bend your knees, look to your hands, walk or jump your feet to your hands. Start to slowly straighten your legs, hands to your shins, look forward. And as you exhale, fold forward. So we're in our first standing forward bend. We already did a little stretching of those calves right in the beginning, but now you might notice it in your hamstrings. So perhaps you need a little bend in your knees. If that's the case, then you put a little bend in your knees. Your head is easeful. Another nice breath in, bring your hands to your shins, look forward. And as you exhale, keeping your back straight, bring yourself to stand, sweep your arms up over your head, relax your shoulders, right foot forward, left foot back, bend that right knee. You are in Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Oftentimes, we transition quickly from one warrior to another. Sometimes we add some arm movements in our Warrior 1. Today, we're just holding it. So one of the things that you can do when you're holding a pose for a while is you go through your little housekeeping checklist. Are both of my hips facing forward? Do I have a nice bend in that right knee? Are my shoulders creeping up to my ears? And I relax them, literally feeling your shoulder blades drop onto your back. Is your back left heel touching the mat? Or you're kind of hanging up on those left toes? All of those things keeps you present enough that your mind doesn't start to wander to thinking, all right, I've had enough of this. Begin to lean forward, extend your arms out in front of you, shift your weight into your right leg, your left leg lifts up behind you. You are in warrior 3. We're going to try to hold it here. Lift yourself up, feet together, hands to your heart center. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. And then sweep your arms back up over your head. Relax your shoulders. This time that right leg is back, that left leg is forward. You put a nice bend in that knee. And your body is not leaning forward, your butt's not sticking out. You tuck your tailbone under. Your body is upright. You're just sinking down. So you can feel yourself stretching through that right hip flexor. And we're going to hold ourselves in our warrior 1. Warrior 1 is a super powerful pose. You are firing up your ankles, your calves, your quads. Your hips are working to stabilize you. And I need not mention your arms. Look forward. Begin to shift your weight forward. This time, if you can, sweep your arms behind you as you lift that right leg off of the floor. Warrior 3 with extended arms. Stand up, feet together, hands to your heart center. Beautiful. Take another nice breath in as you exhale, sit down in your chair. Sweep your arms out to the side. Wiggle your toes, your weight's in your heels. You want to make sure that you're not sinking forward or shifting forward, because when you put your weight into your toes, your knee joints really take over. And as you can tell, we're holding poses, so I don't want to hold this one where your knees are in a compromised position. So really feel those heels sink down. Chest is lifted. Hands come to your heart center. Sink down a little bit lower. Take a big breath in, press into your heels, lift yourself up, stretch your arms up over your head. Take a big breath in, open your arms nice and wide, and as you exhale, fold forward. So when you're holding a pose and you start to say enough is enough, oftentimes it might be out of boredom, right? Like if you're not struggling in an uttanasana, in a chair pose, because you think my quads can't take this anymore. If you're not struggling like that, you might be struggling with, okay, I'm bored, I want to come out of this pose. So those are all the things that we're trying to really explore here.
You don't just say enough is enough when you're holding a pose. Sometimes when we move, you kind of had enough too. So let's see what that's like. Step your right leg back. Right hand stays on the mat. Float your left arm up into the air. Look up to your left hand. Nice big breath in. As you exhale, release your left hand down. Step your right foot to meet your left. Arms rise, you're back in your chair pose. Nice breath in. Exhale, stand up. Open your arms, float yourself down. Left leg comes back. Right arm floats up into your spinal twist. Release your right hand down. Step your feet together, arms rise, chair pose. Stand up, open wide, fold forward. Right leg back, left arm up, spinal twist. Release your left hand, step your feet together, raise those arms as you drop those hips. Nice breath in, exhale, stand. Open wide, fold forward. Left leg back, right arm lifts. Release your right hand down, step those feet together, arms raise, hips drop. Big breath in, exhale, stand. Fold forward again. Right leg back, left arm lifts. Release your hand down, step your feet together, arms rise. Big sip of breath. Exhale, stand. Open wide. Fold forward. Left leg back, right arm lifts. Release it down. Feet come together. Arms raise up. Big breath in. Exhale, stand. And let your arms come to your side. So that was moving. Maybe it got too repetitive, right? So we're pausing. We're figuring things out here. We're figuring out our relationship to the word enough. Take a nice breath in. Let it all out with a nice big sigh. Another big breath in. Hear yourself sigh it out. And then step your feet apart. We want a really nice wide stance. Hands come to your side. Feet are at least 4 feet apart. Big breath in. As you exhale, slowly fold over, coming into a wide-legged forward bend. Relax your head, relax your chest, relax those shoulders. Maybe after we've been here for a few breaths, you can bring your hands into the middle of your mat. Maybe you even heel toe your feet ever so slightly further apart. So when you hold a pose for a while, it really allows some movement, right? It allows those hamstrings to stretch. We're working those adductor, those inner thigh muscles as well. They're stretching. Your spine is releasing. So since we've been here for a while, maybe, just maybe, you can think about bringing your forearms down onto the floor. And if they don't reach, maybe you think about the day that they will, because hanging out here for a while makes the possibility seem like a possibility. Fingertips come back to your mat. Right hand on your right ankle, left hand on your left ankle. Slide your hands up your legs. Heel toe your feet ever so slightly in. Toes stay out, heels are in, knees bend. We're in our Buddha squat. We oftentimes add some movement here. We're not going to right now. We're going to stay here. Your knees are moving backward, right? So you're trying to open up those thighs, getting some movement in your hips. As you sink down, you're really challenging all of the ligaments and tendons that are supporting your hip bowl, your pelvic bowl, your hip structure, right? Just visualize, right? As you start to think like, oh my God, I've had enough of this.
Start to visualize, what is it that's holding this whole thing up? I feel my quads working, but when you tuck your tailbone under a little bit, maybe you notice that pelvic bowl being supported by the ligaments that connect to your hip joints. Which is more challenging? The mental part of saying enough is enough, I don't want to be here anymore, or the physical aspect of enough is enough? Take a nice breath in. As you exhale, shift yourself over to the right, straighten your left leg and hold it. And then come back to center. And then shift yourself over to the left, right leg straightens. And back to center, drop down just a little bit lower and hold it. Is your breath changing at all? Is your heartbeat changing at all? Pressing into your heels, lift yourself back up, beautiful. And maybe you jump your feet together, and then right away you're gonna sweep your arms up over your head, big sip of air, exhale, fold forward, step your right leg back, left leg meets it. Big breath in, exhale all the way down to the mat. Inhale, you're in your nice low cobra, Bhujangasana. You curl your toes, your exhale brings you to down dog. Your right leg lifts nice and high. You look between your hands, you step that right foot forward. Left leg comes up, you're in your standing split. Step your feet together, hands to your shins, look forward. And as you exhale, fold forward. Left leg back, right leg meets it. Big breath in, exhale, chaturanga. Release yourself to the floor. Inhale, Bhujangasana, curl your toes. Exhale, you're back in down dog. Left leg lifts, look to your hands, step it forward. Right leg lifts, standing split. Step your feet together. Hands to those shins, look forward. Exhale, fold. Right leg back, left leg meets it. Plank pose. Your exhale brings you to chaturanga. Your next exhale releases you to the floor. Inhale lifts you to Bhujangasana, nice low cobra. Curl those toes. Exhale brings you to down dog. Right leg lifts. Step it forward. Left leg lifts, standing split. Step your feet together. Hands to your shins, look forward. Exhale, fold. Left leg back. Right leg meets it. Bend your elbows, hover. Release yourself to the floor. Inhale, nice low cobra. Curl your toes. Exhale, down dog. Lift your right leg, look forward. Step it forward. Lift your left leg. Step it forward. Hands to your shins, look forward. Exhale, fold. Left leg back. Right leg meets it. Big breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Release yourself to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Curl your toes. Exhale, down dog. Left leg lifts, look forward. Step it forward. Right leg lifts. Step it forward. Hands to your shins, look forward. And as you exhale, fold and stay here. So that was 3 rounds, 3 complete rounds of the sun salutation, right? We did the left, right side, then left side. Was that enough for you? Or are you one of those yogis that would love to go to an early morning sunrise festival where you do 108 rounds of a sun salutation? Would that be enough? Or after 3 of them, were you like, you know, enough is enough. I would have been happy with just 1. Explore. No right answer, no wrong answer, just a little svadhyaya, self-study. Bend your knees. Actually, you know, keep your legs straight. If you can, cross your ankles and maybe, proceeding with extreme caution, maybe bring your hands together and try to sit down. and then open your legs nice and wide. So now we're in a wide-legged seated position. You have the ability here to help yourself move those legs a little bit further, right? Before we heel-toe them further apart. Now we're actually moving them ourselves. Hands can come behind you and lift yourself up. Hold yourself here a moment. Tilt your chest forward, drop yourself back down so that you can access that feeling of being on those sits bones, those two little round bones at the base of your butt. Sweep your arms up, big breath in, exhale, fold forward, relax your shoulders. You should know that I'm going to say it before I even have to say it. We were in our wide-legged forward bend for quite some time. That really stretches those adductors, right? Those inner thigh muscles. But you might notice they still have a little work to do here. So we're going to hang out here. If you stay here for a few more breaths, do you think you can creep your fingers out a little further? Slide your hands back, sit yourself up, take your left leg, bring it to the inside of your right thigh. Your right toes are pointing to the ceiling, so that leg's not flopping out to the side, it's nice and straight. And you're gonna turn your whole body, look over that right leg, lift your arms up, big breath in. As you exhale, fold forward, hold on to your ankle, your shin, your foot, whatever you can hold on to it. And we're going to stay here. Parsvottanasana. And as we stay here, notice what's going on the side of your left lower back. What happens on your next exhale if you consciously feel like you're relaxing your shoulders and chest a little more? Take a nice breath in. As you exhale, slide your hands up your legs. Now the soles of your feet come together. We're in Baddha Konasana. And in this pose, you might notice my heels are kind of close to my groin. My knees are a little bit high up. If I move my feet out a little bit further, my knees relax a little bit more. So you can fool around with where you want your feet, how far out, how close, because we're coming into Baddha Konasana. Lift yourself up, big breath in that we're going to hold. As you exhale, fold forward, elbows can rest on your calves. Your chest is coming forward, your head is coming forward. I'm not coming down into that middle of that diamond shape. I'm coming forward, and then I'm relaxing my head. If you have ever gone to a yin, Y-I-N yoga class, it's a class where you hold poses, usually between 5 and 8 minutes. We've been holding the poses that we're holding somewhere between 45 seconds and 1 minute. I do it according to breath, maybe a minute and a half at the most. So think about what your reaction to enough is enough would be in a yin class. Also think about what your reaction to holding a pose is. A standing pose versus a seated pose. A balanced pose. Lift yourself back up, and now you stretch that left leg out. Your right foot comes inside your thigh. So my body right now is facing forward. I'm going to turn it, right? I want to be looking over that left leg. That helps to protect my spine a little more. Lift your arms up, big breath in. Exhale, fold forward. And relax your shoulders, relax your head. So I might have called this the wrong name before. This is Janu Shirshasana. And Janu Shirshasana literally translates to head to the knee pose. So that's the intention of the pose. You know, if you're holding on to your calf and you're up here, you still have the intention of your head coming toward your knee. You don't necessarily have to have your head on the knee. That might not happen today. That might not ever happen. But it doesn't mean that you're not in Janu Shirshasana. It doesn't mean that your intention is not there. Slide your hands up your leg. And now you're going to try to take this left leg, put it on top of your right thigh. This might be one where you're like, ooh, this is enough, right? I say that often. This is enough. Thank you very much. I'm not going any further. If you have tight hips, this very well may be enough. This might be too much. You might have to stretch out that right leg. But if you're okay and this is enough, stay. If you would like to explore the possibility of going a little further, lift those arms up, fill your body with air, and as you exhale, fold forward. The beauty of holding a pose is it allows the ligaments and the tendons surrounding a joint to settle, to loosen, which helps you to progress a little bit further. So maybe you can walk your hands a little bit toward the right side of your mat, putting your left hand on top of your right hand. And when everything starts to soften a little bit, when you use your breath to tell your mind that this is safe, then things soften even more. Walk your hands back to center, slide your hands up, and then you're going to keep your feet on the floor for a moment, hands next to you. Lift your feet up, cross your ankles, bring your knees in toward your armpits. And I want those knees, I can't see you guys, but I'm very hopeful that your knees are practically touching your shoulders. That's how much those knees are coming toward your armpits, firing up your low belly. Release your legs, switch the cross, knees come back in. Inhale, switch, exhale in. Inhale, switch, exhale in. Inhale, switch, exhale in. Again, inhale, switch, exhale in. Hold it here. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Inhale, as you switch, make sure that your right leg is coming over your left. Bring your knees in, hold it again. And then release your feet down, pick that right foot up, put it on top of your left thigh. Is this enough? If it is, stay here. You want to try to go a little further, those arms reach up, you take that big full breath in, and as you exhale, you surrender your body over your leg, you relax your shoulders. Maybe you walk your hands a little bit over to the left, placing that right hand on top of your left hand. Maybe. And then you bring your hands back to center, slide your hands up, And we're going to transition. We're going to try to go through a pose where you really have to be careful about if enough is enough. You're going to start on your knees. You're going to open your feet a little bit, move your calves out of the way, and see if you can get your butt down toward the floor. So for some people, way too much. So you take a pillow if you had one, or a block, and you sit on it. Or just lift yourself up and stay here if this is enough. So if we stay here for a couple of breaths, maybe you can settle yourself down and you're like, oh, okay, I feel my butt making contact with my mat. And maybe this is enough. Or maybe you bring one elbow back. Maybe you bring the other elbow back. If this feels dangerous, you do not do it. If this is enough, you stay here. But if you're like, I don't know what she's talking about, I'm super comfortable, then maybe you let yourself come all the way down. Maybe you even bring your arms over your head. Release your hands onto your feet, press into your elbows, lift yourself up. And then once you come up, come onto your knees, flop yourself back down, windshield wipe your legs back and forth, right? So enough is enough, or is that enough, or that's enough, thank you very much. These are all stopping points, and often they're stopping points for safety. So enough does not always have negative connotations. Oftentimes it has very good connotations. In the instance that I just used, it's like, that's enough, thank you. It was a safety connotation. So before we lie down, which we have not done yet, before we lie down, we're going to one more full boat pose this time, where you're going to get to perhaps a point where you say, I've had enough, thank you very much. So straighten one leg, straighten the other. Sit yourself up nice and tall. Release one arm, release the other, and start to breathe. What's happening with your shoulders? What's giving up first, your abdominal muscles or your brain muscle? Feet to the floor, beautiful. Lie down, hug your knees into your chest, rock yourself gently from side to side. Open your arms to the side. Let both of your knees come all the way down to the right. Your head turns to the left. That right hand can rest on top of your left thigh. I have not been in person. Some of you I have been, some of you I have not been, so I'm not really sure of everybody's complete physicality. But I'm assuming that if anybody had a spinal stenosis, or if anybody had fused discs in their vertebrae, they would have let me know. So I'm assuming that's not the case. And assuming that's not the case, being in a spinal twist like this, a supine or reclined spinal twist, might be a pose where you could stay here all day and you would never feel like, okay, this is enough. So reflect on that. Was moving quickly from that chair, lunge, was that where you said, okay, I've had enough? When we were moving through our sun salutations, was that when you said, okay, I've had enough? Those were moving poses or moving vinyasas. Bring your knees back to center, and then they both come down to the left. Your head turns to the right. Was holding yourself in that warrior three on one leg, was that when you had enough? Was sinking down low and holding that Buddha squat for what might have felt like an eternity, was that when you said, I've had enough? Again, no right answer, no wrong answer, no answer at all. Just all points of self-reflection. What resonates for you? What doesn't? Does my mind tell me to stop before my body gives up? If you can keep your mind present on focusing on your breath, could you hold a pose for eternity because your body is strong enough to do it? I don't know. These are all just really good things to think about. Inhale back to center. And as you exhale, place both of your feet on the floor. Stretch your right foot straight out in front of you. Stretch your left foot straight out in front of you. Stretch both arms up over your head. Spread your fingers really wide. Try to think that I'm holding your ankles as somebody else is holding your wrists and you're being pulled apart. Why don't you say, okay, that's enough. Take a big breath in, hold your breath. And then exhale, let both of your arms come down to your side, palms facing upward. Why? So your shoulders can be easeful. So you're in a position where you're open and receptive. And perhaps you allow yourself to be receptive to hearing the answer to the question, what if this was enough? Slowly begin to roll yourself onto whichever side of your body feels more comfortable. And then guide yourself back to a seated position, trying to keep your eyes closed if possible. And bring your hands together at your heart center. Take a moment to express gratitude for making the commitment and following through with it to spend some time on your mat this afternoon. And then express a little bit of gratitude at your ability to perhaps explore what enough means to you, or just to investigate the different possibilities of what enough might mean, and the possibility of the freedom and level of acceptance that might come from saying, what if this is enough? So when you leave your mat and return to your world, I would like you to do so with a heightened awareness of the word enough. Notice how many times you hear it and notice the context that it's being used. If you would like to seal your practice this afternoon with the sound of Om, we can all chant one Om together. So if you are joining me, take a big breath in. Om. Namaste. Thank you all very much. I hope to see you again next Tuesday for our